And I said, that is the most beautiful dress. I would like to buy that dress. And the lady looked at me and she said, what do you mean? And I said, well, I'm getting married this coming weekend, and I needed to buy a dress for my fiance, and that's the dress right there. I can't believe it. And she said, what? She said, you're going to buy a dress for your bride to be? And I said, well, yeah. And she said, no.
Hi, I'm Ellie Lax.
And I'm Jay Weiner.
And you're entering a world gone good.
Well, hello, my name's Steve, and this is the place where we celebrate everyday people making good happen each and every day. Welcome to World Gone Good. This episode is part 2 of our 4th anniversary special. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, I highly recommend you hit the pause button and scroll back in the episode guide to catch up on that one first. Today, we continue our good love story with Ellie Lax and Jay Weiner from The Gentle Barn. Here's a quick recap of what we learned last time. Ellie likes to walk around with horse poop in her hands, and Jay is a vegan chef who claims his ranchero sauce is better than mine. That's it. That's all you need to know. You can listen to the rest. We left off our last episode right after the surprise proposal, which took place with their favorite horses and was followed by a romantic picnic. I was a little jealous. 5 years pass, and still no ceremony. So just like he did proposing, Jay took it upon himself to surprise Ellie with their wedding. Here come Ellie Lax and Jay Weiner from The Gentle Barn to take us down the aisle.
It was the day after Thanksgiving, 11 years ago. Jay said, hey, my mom's in town. She's staying out in Burbank. Why don't we go pick her up and go to a museum? And I thought, oh, that's fun. We've not been in a museum for a while. So the kids jumped
Ellie,
in the car. What?
I have to stop you.
Why?
So this is where you're going to find accuracy stuff. How many years ago?
11.
How many years have we been married?
11.
What year were we married?
2010.
What year is it now?
Math is hard. Come on.
We've been married 14 years?
13 years. Oh my God. Steve.
I was so proud of myself because I said 11 and I thought I was right.
But that would have been right 2 years ago.
And the last time Ellie was on this show was a catch-up, which was 2 years ago, which counts. The math works. Go ahead.
There you go.
There we go. I'm talking like it was 2 years ago still on your show.
Our anniversary
Thank you for that save.
is November. What the date?
27th, 2010.
There you go. Okay.
All right. Okay.
We're caught up.
Okay. Thank you.
Great.
So I said, oh, that's fun. So everybody piles in the car and I realize it's a little chilly. And I said, hey, I'm just going to run inside for a sweater. And he goes, no. And I look at him. I'm like, what? He goes, no, get in the car. Get in the car. I said, well, I just want to get a sweater. He goes, no, get in the car. Get in the car. I'm like, oh my God, what is with this guy again? So I said, okay. I got in the car. We start driving to Burbank. And we get there and then he decides, oh, we're too early. We have time. Let's stop for lunch. Oh, how fun. So me and Jay have an arrangement that if ever we pass a vegan or vegetarian restaurant, that we go in and support them. So we pass this really nice Thai restaurant and it has a big neon green sign outside that says vegan restaurant. We're like, oh, sweet. But he doesn't stop. He keeps driving. I'm like, Jay, that restaurant said it was vegan. Nope. I want to go to a Togo's. Like a Togo's? What? I don't think they even have vegan food at Togo's. What are you talking about? No, we have to go to a Togo's. I'm like, oh my God, he has lost his mind. So we're driving around and around and around and around and around. And I say, Jay, sweetheart, we could be like literally munching on egg rolls right now, vegan egg rolls. why can't we just go back to that vegan restaurant? He goes, no, I need a Togo's. So we keep driving, and I can notice that he's getting closer and closer and closer to the Burbank airport.
I just validate that they did have a really wonderful vegetarian with avocado sandwich.
What, Togo's?
Yeah.
Good to know.
I don't think Togo's is around anymore, but yeah.
Anyway, so I'm noticing that he's getting closer and closer to the Burbank airport. And I said, Jay, honey, you're going to land up at the airport. 5 minutes later, we are at the airport. And I go, Jay, I don't understand. And he goes, will you marry me? And I said, well, yeah, but there's no Togo's at the airport. And he goes, we're not going to Togo's. We're going to get married. I'm like, shut up. What are you talking about? He's very funny and he's a prankster. So I didn't believe him. So he goes, kids. And the kids chimed up. And
they were
like,
holding it in for hours.
Yeah, they were so quiet in the back seat. And all of a sudden they chimed up. We're going to get married. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't believe you. And he goes, no, I'm taking you to get married. And I'm like, what? And I said, but I don't have a dress. And he points to the sidewalk. And my friend is standing there on the sidewalk with this beautiful, beautiful dress that Jay's going to tell you the background story for. And then I said, well, I didn't pack. And he goes, oh, we packed for you. And I was like, I didn't shave my legs. And Jay goes, well, I can't help you with that.
This is why he didn't feel you needed a sweater, because he already packed for you.
Exactly.
Got it.
Plus, we weren't going outside. We were going in an airplane.
And
right.
He didn't want me to go back to the house because then maybe when I'm walking, I could see the suitcases in the back of the car. Like,
right.
He just wanted me to part so the surprise wasn't spoiled.
Okay.
So now it's about
Tell us about, this is my favorite part. This is the best ever. Go ahead, Jay.
I have a pretty big background in sales and business and marketing. And one of the jobs that I had when I was younger was I worked at a Bullock's Woman, which is now Macy's, right? So I really understood dress sizes and how dresses fit and things like that. So, it was a challenge, obviously, to go and buy a wedding dress for someone else. But let alone, I'm a guy and I didn't know a lot that much about it, but because it wasn't like I was selling wedding dresses. But I knew enough that if I saw something that would make sense for her, that I could grab it. And so I went to this, really enormous wedding dress store and walked in the door. And literally, as I'm walking in the door, I see Ellie, like the outline of Ellie, in front of me with a wedding dress on and a mannequin. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. That is her. Like it was like if I closed my eyes and picture her head on top of this mannequin, it was her. And I said, oh my God, what size is that dress? And they told me, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe that is her size. And it was like her bust and her body. And I said, that is the most beautiful dress. I would like to buy that dress. And the lady looked at me and she said, what do you mean? And I said, well, I'm getting married this coming weekend, and I needed to buy a dress for my fiance, and that's the dress right there. I can't believe it. And she said, what? She said, you're going to buy a dress for your bride to be? And I said, well, yeah. And she said, no. And I said, what do you mean, no? I want to buy that dress. And she said, and I went over to the mannequin and I looked at the tag and it was, I could afford it. It was reasonable. And I said, yeah, this is perfect. This is exactly her. I can't believe it. And she said, where's her maid of honor?
Right.
And I said, well, what do you mean? I want to buy that dress. And she said, I'm not going to sell you that dress. And I said, but we're getting married this weekend. I mean, I need to buy something. I mean, that one looks really perfect. And it had a corset. So I knew I could, she could tighten it. And, it was perfect. And I explained that to her, but she was not buying it. And so she forced me to call her maid of honor, Paula, who actually was the one holding up the dress when, because she had a whole story behind it, when we got to the airport. So she happened to be, this was in the Valley, and we lived in, Santa Clarita, and it just so happened she was in the area and all the stars aligned, and she came over there and we sat through a 3-hour, runway modeled wedding dress experience. I swear to God, we were drinking champagne and we were toasting Ellie. And I said, Paula, at the end of this thing, I swear to God, it's going to be that dress. She looked at the dress. She said, Jay, I really think that is the dress. But they would not have it. So anyway, we went through this whole process and they kept asking me, does this person look like her? Does that person look like her? Anyway, so finally we get to the end of this and Paula says to the woman, I'll be honest with you. I really do think that the first dress that Jay saw is the right one for her. And so finally they let me buy the dress.
Oh my God. It's like that's like almost the same amount of time it takes to get a new car. When you sit in the dealership.
What? They wanted me to test drive the car.
Right. Test drive the dress. Well, that's a very interesting thing because, Ellie, the question to you is, was the right dress important to you? Because it's very important to some people. Was it important to you? Meaning that you got to go and pick it.
I'd like to reference back to the start of this podcast by saying that I was holding poop in my hands. So no, dresses, jewelry, those kinds of things, they are not important to me. But I will say that Jay picked a dress that literally fit me like a glove, like it was tailored for me. He got a diamond brooch for my hair. He got all of our hair done. He bought me my shoes. He planned this entire wedding as a surprise. Who does that? Who makes a surprise wedding? And it's so crazy because I think he did it in a couple weeks. And the truth is that if we had a year to plan and I could be involved, I would not change one single solitary detail of that wedding. It was the greatest experience of my entire life.
Now, really quickly, I have another quick question here. So you get to the airport, he says, we're getting married, the kids are and all that stuff. You see your friend with the dress. Is that the moment where you go, oh shit, it is happening? Was that the moment where you were like connected and like, yes?
Yeah, that's the moment that I burst into tears. I was being so hard I couldn't breathe. I was so in love with him. I didn't even know what to do with such a big feeling. It was so much fun. We got out of the car. I hugged him and kissed him, hugged all the kids, went and met our friends. We all went on an airplane. We went to Vegas. We went to get our marriage license.
Wait. The plane. Was it Southwest? Did you have to stand in like A, B, or C? Okay, skip it. Go ahead.
A, thank you very much.
Okay, good.
We had we had a 2, 4, 6. We had our family, so we were 5 people,
5.
And then we had about
6,
another
7, 8, 9. There were 9.
Yeah, there
people.
were another 6 people.
No, because Michaela was there.
Yeah, so we had a number of people who were coming with us. Also,
Ben Jordan.
We all kind of scheduled our flights at the same time, and so we all flew together. It was really
6,
fun.
7, 8, 9.
And I had
12. There's 12 of us.
I had talked to the hotel before we got there, and they had a limousine waiting for us, which was really cool. Wedding package. And what I'll tell you, though, is that your question about the dress was a good one. And the reason it was a good one is because Ellie pretends like she is this barnyard person with poop in her hands.
What are you implying?
But I happen to have evidence of your life before the Gentle Barn.
Okay.
Headshots and other photos.
I need those sent to us.
And not only will I send you the headshot of her gorgeous, but I will also send you a picture of her in the wedding dress of us, so you can put that online or whatever.
That's happening.
But what I want to tell you is that Ellie not only looked like, but also was dressed like a princess and had to walk through that casino. And I think you should tell him what you felt like while you were doing that. Because just so we're on the same page, she made a joke earlier that said that that I wasn't going to take care of her legs, getting waxed and stuff like that. And that was what I said, and it was funny. But I had set up all of the women who had curly hair were getting straight hair, and all of the
of course
straight hair were getting curly hair.
And we were so happy.
But I did set up the salon to have her go in with her bridesmaids to get pampered.
No, it was a fairy tale. It was an absolute fairy tale. So what happened was we're staying at the Venetian, which is an enormous hotel and casino. And
beautiful.
We were getting married on the canals, but our room was like in Zamunda. So we got all dolled up and dressed up and got in the dress and the shoes and the whole thing, and then went down the elevator. And when the elevator doors opened, I had this absolute feeling of panic. I have to walk like this through the entire hotel and casino, which is miles long.
Right.
I felt so subconscious that I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I tried to go back to the room. But of course, my bridesmaids wouldn't let me and they shoved me out of the elevator. And the minute I stepped out of that elevator, the entire room burst into applause. And so for the next 20 minutes, as we walked through the hotel casino, everyone was applauding. They were shoving their babies on me to hold them for pictures. They were throwing their parents at me for pictures. And I felt like a Disney princess. It was crazy.
I said Princess Diana. I said Luke and Laura. Same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it was, I've never had an experience like that before. It was, and I would say like, oh, for those 20 minutes, I felt like a celebrity, but it's more than that because it's not like, oh, she's famous. It was such an outpouring of love and goodwill and well wishes that I just felt so cheered on, like they genuinely were happy for us. And it was so touching. I'll never forget the way that felt.
That's so nice. And it was the day after Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
we went to the quote unquote museum the day after Thanksgiving, but by this time when we're getting married, it was the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Right, but here's the great thing for everyone listening who may or may not know this. Las Vegas is hell on earth during the summer, but in November, December, it's very lovely there.
Yeah.
So you're not boiling and you got to go outside and get...
No, it was inside. It was inside. Their canals are down in their quote unquote basement, like the lower level. And the canals they painted the sky and, all that kind of stuff that you feel like you're outside. It's actually inside. So it was all air conditioned and beautiful and or temperature controlled or whatever.
Who performed the ceremony?
So hold on. So I want to tell you that when I saw her, so I was on the bridge and I was waiting for her and trying to make sure everything was just right. And when I turned around and I saw her coming, she was being trailed by, I don't know, it looked like 30 people or 35 people. And I looked at, one of my friends that was there and I said, who the heck is with Ellie? There were all these people walking with her and they were applauding and I'm going, what is happening? So she's getting closer and closer and finally we lock eyes and I just went, oh my God, I'm so in love with her. And do you remember you got to the bridge? Do you remember when you got to the bridge?
I will never forget it. Jay and I spent so many years disillusioned by our first marriages and thinking we don't need to get married again. It's just a meaningless ceremony. We don't need to do it. We don't need to do it. And in that moment, when I finally arrived at the bridge and I looked up at him and he gave me his hand and helped me up the stairs and we locked eyes. That ceremony meant so much to us. We were so in love, and to declare it to the world and be celebrated like that and to feel so close to him. I'll never forget that feeling.
I don't think either one of us really realized how important it actually was to us to get married and to have that experience. And and it was a beautiful place to do it. And I have that picture too. So I will share that with you. And then we had I don't know if he was not Justice of the Peace, but he I think he was a reverend or
I don't know. You found him.
I think he was a non-denominational. I think he was a minister, but he
was not dressed as Elvis.
No.
Okay, let's get that out of the way.
No, Tacky is going to Vegas. I'm a Virgo, and there was not going to be an Elvis marrying us. Thank you very much. But we had all of our friends around us, and the ceremony was beautiful. And Ellie and I both just found it to be this just romantic moment in our lives. It's like preserved there forever, and afterwards, we went through the ceremony and it was beautiful and our friends and our family were there and just enjoyed it. And then afterwards we got to go on the wedding gondola ride.
Oh, fun.
And so we did that. That was
And then we went and got a 12-course vegan meal at the Wynn.
the Wynn.
was
So
so
Steve
good.
Wynn, who's has vegan options in all of his restaurants, and so we went to the Chinese restaurant and had one of their private rooms and had a beautiful meal.
So wait. You got the egg rolls that you wanted from earlier in Burbank.
Yeah.
There you go.
We'll get right back to our super fun chat with Ellie and Jay in just a minute or two. But first, I wanted to share something really good on our special day. What is it? It is a brand new podcast called Raising Gen V, and I am thrilled to tell you I got hired to edit and help produce it. That's why I want you to know about it. All right, listen. Here comes the trailer. See what you think.
I'm Naomi Hallam, a mother, long-term vegan, and someone who loves learning from others. I've gathered some of my favourite vegan parents, a mixture of advocates, activists, health professionals, chefs, and more, to talk about the benefits and misconceptions around vegan parenting, which are many.
I don't just want my child to be healthy, I want the whole world to be healthy. That means you too.
Food is the biggest common denominator for making change.
We'll also be talking about all the fun and not so fun stuff that we parents go through, and how raising kids has shaped us.
So my son was 3 years old, right? And he looked at chicken nuggets and he said, where did these come from?
We often live our lives with blinders. We just have certain patterns that we fall into. And food is one of those.
Whether you're curious about vegan parenting or just want to know where we get our protein, then this podcast is for you. It's a resource I wish I'd had as a first-time mom, but that you'll never have to be without. Welcome to Raising Gen V.
I would love if you take a moment and follow Raising Gen V wherever you podcast best, and also give a listen to the first couple of episodes that are already out. You don't have to be a vegan. You don't even have to be a parent. This show is so informative, so educational, and at times so relatable and hilarious. I know you will just love it. We're always trying to spread some good here at World Gone Good, and this is definitely some of that good. Check out Raising Gen V right after you finish listening to this episode. And now, back to Ellie and Jay.
Steve, I want to say one more thing that was really special to us. Jay and I that day didn't just marry ourselves, each other, but we got rings for the kids.
Oh,
Who got rings?
But Jay got
rings
rings
for
for the kids. So I was able to
Ellie
give...
always told me how important it was to her that we showed the kids how, because we had already had Cheyenne, our daughter, together.
okay.
But we had Jesse and Molly, who were from,
the
separate
previous
marriages.
yeah.
And so Ellie, it was always so important to Ellie to show the kids that they were getting married also. And so I bought rings for all three of them.
So I was able to give Jay's daughter, Molly, a ring and become her stepmother or mother. And Jay gave Jesse a ring to become his stepdad. And we both gave Cheyenne a ring. So we it wasn't just that we were getting married. We became a family that day.
I love that. And at this time of in the universe, not as much everything being filmed on people's phones, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
To me, it's more special because it's the memory of it in your own head.
Yeah, and photos,
And photos, right.
They had a really amazing, just like wedding package, and I could afford it, and it was a wonderful experience. Getting married at the Venetian was pretty special place to get married.
Yeah, it was really beautiful.
Yeah.
Really beautiful.
Plug for the Venetian.
Yeah.
And Steve Wynn.
And Steve Wynn. And the Wynn Hotel.
And the Wynn Hotel.
The food there is just, really, really top notch. Really amazing stuff. That was our wedding.
Very romantic.
That's why you brought me here, huh, Steve?
Pretty much. And so 14 years later, The romance is still there.
Well, we've been together for 22 years.
22, sure. More pressure. I've been together 17.
Wow.
Do you feel every now and then like you got to kick it up a notch? Do you ever look at each other and go, I mean, I have this conversation with my husband all the time. I had it just recently where I'm like, I'm not your roommate.
I'm guilty of that.
Ellie and I, run the Gentle Barn together. We work together. We eat together. We sleep together. We have this very, very full life. We're very passionate people. And so, there's a lot of emergencies we deal with and a lot of really intense rescues and, cows in the living room kind of thing. Right. And so it doesn't leave a lot of time for me and Ellie. But what I'll tell you that is the same from the day that I fell in love with her till today is that when we connect, that it's still there.
Yeah.
Your friendship is what has guided you through this whole time.
Well, yeah, because there's so much history and so much commonality, and look what we've built together, and we've raised 3 kids together, and it's a beautiful journey. We're both type A personalities. So, I get really headstrong sometimes, but
No.
no.
Yeah, please, Jay. You sound so timid.
But, the truth of our lives is that I wake up at 5 a.m. I have to feed the animals and run my departments, and I'm an animal communicator as well. So I do animal communication after work. We also teach a course to other people to open their own sanctuaries. So we teach those classes, and by the end of the day, I'm absolutely exhausted, and it's very easy to go to bed early, get up early, get through the day, go to sleep ready for the next day. It's very, very easy to fall into that routine. I don't think I'm as good as I could be about making time for the romance, making time for the connections. So maybe this podcast will inspire me. But we are going to a concert this Friday for Jay's birthday. So we'll be
nice
then.
I'll give you a hint. You got to wear your pinky ring to go see it.
Pinky ring to go see it?
Yeah.
Pinky ring to go see it?
Put your pinky ring up to the moon.
Oh.
Bruno Mars.
Very nice.
So I'm excited about that. It's my birthday, so Ellie bought that for my birthday. So that's really exciting. And then we're actually going to go see Billy Joel in October. So that'll be fun. I guess I wanted to say, Ellie was sort of telling you her, kind of day and how things go for her. Mine sort of meshes in, but sort of in a supportive way. So, she said that she's an animal communicator, and so she has to do that. But I run her animal communication business, and so I have to set all of that up. And while Ellie is feeding animals and doing those things, I'm handling raising funds and emails and, dealing with all the operational side of the organization. And, so we complement each other in that way. It doesn't always feel like a compliment, but I think we come through it in the end. The one thing that Ellie and I have always said to each other is that we can never lose that romance.
And I got to say, you're a team. And speaking of teams, Ellie, this is the time to plug. Tell everybody where the Gentle Barn can be found online, how they can support you, how they can buy your books, and how they can do all the magic with you.
Absolutely. The Gentle Barn, just to recap, is located in Los Angeles, California, Nashville, Tennessee, and St. Louis, Missouri. We are home to 200 rescued animals at any one given time. We are right now celebrating our 25th anniversary and 1 million people coming through our doors to love and learn about animals. People can come and visit the Gentle Barn. We're open to the public on Sundays. During the week, we host school field trips, private tours, cow hug therapy sessions, and lots of healing modalities for hurting humans. People can follow the Gentle Barn and fall in love with our animals from a distance on all social media platforms just for looking at the Gentle Barn. People can find out more about the Gentle Barn, donate to help us do even more work, and get tickets to visit by going to gentlebarn.org. People can find out more about animal communication and what Jay and I do to teach classes and do animal communication at ellielax.com. And my books, my first book, all about Jay and I, our love affair, how the Gentle Barn got started, and the history of the Gentle Barn, is called My Gentle Barn, Creating a Sanctuary Where Animals Heal and Children Learn to Hope. And our second book, Cow Hug Therapy, that just came out, both those books are available on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, anywhere books are sold, and either of our websites, ellielax.com or gentlebarn.org. You can get signed copies of the books there as well.
And to book Jay as a surprise wedding coordinator, dial 1-800. No, okay, never mind.
We actually do host weddings at the Gentle Barn.
Excellent.
That is something that we do here. I'm definitely an event planner and coordinator for sure. We have a wonderful team here. We would be lost without the many people who work with the Gentle Barn and volunteer here and our board of directors. It's not just us doing it alone.
Oh my God, we have the best team in the world.
We close these shows with 2 questions. I'm going to start with you, Ellie. You've answered it before. The question is this, and then Jay, you're going to answer it. Who inspires you?
God, I have so many that inspire me. I mean, Jay inspires me. His strength, his resilience, his confidence, his knowledge, his dedication, his devotion inspire me every single day. I mean, everywhere I look, there are animals that are alive because of Jay.
Jay, who inspires you? Say yourself. Please say yourself.
I feel so inspired by myself. Listen, I know it's this is, you could just change the name of the show to The Corny Show. But I'm not only inspired by Ellie today, but from the minute that I walked into the Gentle Barn and learned what was happening there or here, and, learning a little bit about the incredible, passion and dream and lifelong desire to have a place that, not only helped animals, but gave back to people, children and people, the way that Ellie was cared for as a child. It mirrored my life. And but for someone to start something like this, when Ellie started it, with no information, no wherewithal, no thought about how, it was just that it needed to be. And that, she always says that she was making a relationship with, Spirit, God, to say, I'm going to do the work and you're going to pay the bills, to take a leap of faith like that, to go through a marriage because of it. The things that I hear her say, the concepts, the visions, the ideas that she comes up with, are so inspiring, not only to myself, but to millions of people around the world. I'm truly inspired by Ellie. And I'll throw in that there's a horse that came into my life. His name was Scout. And Scout was one of the most inspiring beings I've ever been around. There have been animals that have come in and out of Ellie in my life that, you just can't explain it. You just know that there's something more powerful that is driving that animal's existence and experience with you. We've had some of these matriarchs and some of these incredibly inspiring animals, Chico and Buddha, and these different cows that we've had. I feel so inspired by our animals as well.
Yeah, me too. So basically, Steve, we're just gross.
No, you're wonderful.
We're disgusting. We're disgusting.
The final question is not a question. It's how we end every show. I'm going to start with you, Jay. Finish this sentence any way you like. Tell me something good.
Okay, I'm going to go to food. For anyone who hasn't had the opportunity to experience the tantalizing, amazing foods that are available in a vegan diet, I highly recommend it. It is one of the most life-changing, life-healing things that you can do for yourself. And I think that it is the thing that will make our planet good. And I think that it's filled with and bursting with not only flavor, but with opportunity.
Ellie, close the show, close the anniversary. No pressure. Tell us all something good.
There's goodness all around us. I think it's very easy to watch the news and watch current events and think, oh my God, people are awful. Life is awful. This world is awful. But the truth is that for every single person that does a mistake or does harm, there's someone there trying to fix it, trying to clean it up, trying to make it better. There are beautiful, beautiful people on this planet. There are heroes. There are saviors. There are people trying to do good, to make it better. It's a matter of what we focus on. If you want to find evidence that this world is horrible, you're going to find it. But if you want to find evidence that there is good, you are going to find it in droves. This podcast is all about good. Steve, you are all about showing the world good. There are good people. There are good stories. There is beauty. And this world is worth saving. And it's up to every single one of us to bring the good so that there's even more of it.
Thank you, Ellie and Jay, for sharing your love story and for doing so as part of our 4th anniversary celebration. Next time on World Gone Good.
Not to be all corny, but it's like, as long as you feel loved, that I don't have to prove this to be loved. It's just, this is what I must do. I feel like I must do it. That's sort of what always kind of kept me moving.
We are keeping our Season 5 launch party going with Shani, the internationally known singer, songwriter, actor, artist, who at the heart of it all is just a small town girl from Arkansas with a dream that came true. We talk about everything from her new album, The Moon Knows, to her movie, Dark Asset, to her foundation, Voices Out. This humanitarian is all heart, and she will inspire you to find and follow your own voice. And you better listen, because hers took her all the way to a meeting with the Dalai Lama, so she is the real deal. I can't wait for you to hear our oh-so-good conversation on our next all-new episode. Until then, be good.